Chapter 2. The Mysterious Stranger. The world beyond Elderglen was a symphony of new experiences for Eamon. The path he trod was a winding ribbon through a landscape painted with the wild beauty of nature. Towering trees whispered ancient secrets in the wind, their leaves rustling like soft music. The air was crisp and fresh, carrying the scent of pine and wildflowers. The sun, a radiant orb in the azure sky, cast dappled shadows on the forest floor, creating a mosaic of light and darkness. Eamon moved with a sense of awe and caution, his senses heightened by the unfamiliar surroundings. His hands, once used to the heat of the forge and the chill of the anvil, now grappled with the rough texture of bark and the cool touch of running streams. His ears, accustomed to the rhythmic clanging of his hammer, now tuned into the symphony of the wilderness, the rustle of leaves, the chirping of birds, the distant roar of a waterfall. Despite the beauty around him, the journey was not without its challenges. The path was often steep and treacherous, the nights cold and filled with the eerie sounds of unknown creatures. Yet, with each passing day, Eamon found himself growing more resilient, more in tune with the rhythm of the wild. His thoughts often drifted back to Elderglen, to the familiar faces and comforting routines he had left behind. But each time his resolve wavered, he would touch the amulet, its cool surface a reminder of the prophecy and the path he had chosen. As the days turned into a week, Eamon found himself standing at a crossroads. One path led towards a bustling city, its distant lights twinkling like stars against the twilight sky. The other, a narrow, winding trail that disappeared into a dense forest. As he pondered his choice, a figure emerged from the forest path, a cloaked stranger whose appearance would change the course of his journey. Under the canopy of twilight, the figure moved with an ethereal grace, their steps barely disturbing the fallen leaves. Cloaked in shadows, their face was hidden, but Eamon could see the glint of moonlight on a staff, hinting at their identity as a traveler or perhaps a wanderer like himself. Eamon watched as the figure paused at the edge of the clearing, their head tilting as if sensing his presence. A moment of silence stretched between them, the air thick with anticipation. Then, with a fluidity that spoke of confidence and power, the stranger lowered their hood, revealing a woman with striking features. Her hair, the color of midnight, cascaded down her shoulders, framing a face that held the timeless beauty of the moon. Her eyes, a vibrant violet, held a depth of wisdom and a spark of curiosity. She was a stark contrast to the rugged wilderness, a mystery that piqued Eamon's interest.
"I sensed a presence,"
she said, her voice a melodious whisper that danced with the wind.
"I did not expect to find another soul in these parts."
Eamon, taken aback by her sudden appearance and the ethereal quality of her presence, took a moment to respond. "I'm on a journey," he said, his voice steady despite the rapid beating of his heart. "I didn't expect to meet anyone either." A soft smile played on her lips, her eyes reflecting the twinkling stars above.
"Then, it seems we are both full of surprises,"
she said, her gaze falling on the amulet that hung around Eamon's neck.
"May I join your fire for the night?"
As Eamon nodded, welcoming her into his camp, he couldn't help but feel that their meeting was more than mere coincidence. Little did he know how right he was. The fire crackled and danced, casting a warm, flickering glow over the small campsite. Eamon and the stranger, who introduced herself as Seraphina, sat across from each other, the flames casting dancing shadows on their faces. The night was alive with the chorus of crickets and the occasional hoot of an owl, a soothing serenade that underscored their conversation. Seraphina, with her staff laid beside her and her cloak wrapped around her against the night's chill, was a captivating figure. Her violet eyes held a faraway look as she shared tales of her travels, of cities bathed in sunlight and mountains that kissed the sky. Her words painted vivid pictures, and Eamon found himself drawn into her stories, his own yearning for adventure echoing in her experiences. As the night deepened and the fire dwindled to glowing embers, Eamon found the courage to share his own story. He spoke of Elderglin, of his life as a blacksmith, and of the prophecy that had set him on this path. He showed her the amulet, its gemstone pulsing with a soft light under her curious gaze. A silence fell over them as Eamon finished his tale, the prophecy hanging in the air like a tangible presence. Serafina was quiet, her gaze thoughtful as she traced the symbols on the amulet with a delicate finger. Then, with a soft sigh, she looked up at Eamon, a new determination in her eyes.
I know of this prophecy,
she said, her voice barely above a whisper.
I've studied ancient texts and legends in my travels. I believe I can help you, Eamon.
As the words sank in, Eamon felt a surge of relief and hope. He was no longer alone in his quest. With Serafina by his side, the path ahead seemed a little less daunting. Their meeting, he realized, was indeed fated. A twist in his journey that held the promise of shared adventures and newfound discoveries. As the first light of dawn painted the sky with hues of pink and gold, Eamon and Serafina sat in companionable silence. The revelation of their shared connection to the prophecy had created an unspoken bond between them, a thread of destiny that linked their paths. Eamon watched as Serafina, her violet eyes reflecting the morning light, studied the amulet with a focused intensity. Her fingers traced the intricate symbols, her lips moving silently as she deciphered the ancient language. There was a grace about her, a quiet strength Eamon found both intriguing and reassuring.
I believe this journey will not be easy,
Serafina finally said, her gaze meeting Eamon's.
The prophecy speaks of trials and tribulations, of a darkness that we must overcome, but I also believe that we can face whatever lies ahead as long as we trust in each other and in the path that destiny has laid out for us.
Her words resonated with Eamon, echoing his own thoughts and fears. He was a blacksmith, thrust into a world of prophecies and forgotten kingdoms. But with Serafina, a mage with knowledge of the ancient world, he felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps together, they could navigate the path that lay ahead. With a nod of agreement, Eamon extended his hand towards Serafina, a gesture of trust and alliance. Together, then, he said, his voice steady and resolute. As Serafina clasped his hand with a smile, Eamon felt a sense of camaraderie, a bond forged in the fires of destiny. They were no longer strangers, but companions ready to face whatever the journey had in store for them. With the bond of trust established between them, Eamon and Serafina set off together as the sun climbed higher in the sky. The forest, bathed in the warm morning light, seemed less daunting with a companion by his side. Their journey was no longer a solitary quest, but a shared adventure, filled with the promise of discovery and the thrill of the unknown. As they walked, Serafina shared her knowledge of the ancient world, her tales filled with legends of powerful mages, mythical creatures, and forgotten kingdoms. Eamon listened with rapt attention, his mind buzzing with questions and wonder. The world beyond Elderglin was far more magical and complex than he had ever imagined. Despite the seriousness of their quest, there were moments of lightheartedness, too. They shared meals by the roadside, laughed at each other's stories, and marveled at the beauty of the wilderness. These moments of camaraderie, of shared laughter and mutual respect, strengthened their bond and made the journey less arduous. As the day wore on, they found themselves standing at the edge of a vast expanse, the city of shadows looming in the distance. Its towering spires and sprawling walls were a silhouette against the setting sun, an imposing sight that filled them with a sense of awe and trepidation.
This is where our journey truly begins,
Serafina said, her gaze fixed on the city.
The answers we seek lie within those walls.
Eamon nodded, his grip tightening around the amulet. The city of shadows, a place of mystery and magic, awaited them. Their journey had brought them this far, and now they were ready to face whatever lay ahead. Together, they stepped forward, their hearts filled with determination and hope, their eyes set on the path ahead.